Chosen one, this moment is not coincidental. You have been guided to this message at a critical time. The convergence of events in your life, the questions stirring within you, and the signs you've quietly noticed are not random. They are indicators of a spiritual turning point. This is not just another message or encouraging word. What you are receiving is direct and clear spiritual instruction, one that aligns with a greater divine plan for your life. For many, the journey to transformation begins with awareness. But for those chosen, those positioned for divine impact, it requires more. It demands obedience, clarity, and timely action. You are not being called merely to hear. You are being called to act. The path before you has been prepared, but it requires your participation. The timing is crucial. What you choose to do now, in this moment, may determine the scale and speed of what unfolds in your life going forward. This message is not about fear or pressure. It's about opportunity, one that aligns your faith with the outcome you've been praying for. You are not waiting for a door to open. The door is already ajar, but the handle must be turned by you. The breakthrough you felt hovering near, financial, emotional, or spiritual, is no longer distant. It is on the threshold of your experience, waiting for your activation. There is a specific instruction attached to this timing. Take immediate action. This is not a suggestion, it is a divine prompt. The spiritual principles at work right now are responding not to your hopes, but to your alignment. Alignment is demonstrated by what you do, not just what you say or believe. You have reached a point where the next step must be physical, tangible, and intentional. You are being guided to a ritual, one simple in appearance, but profound in its spiritual implications. This ritual includes writing down your deepest intentions and combining that written word with salt and water, a traditional symbol of purification, spiritual alignment, and covenant in many belief systems. This practice is not about superstition. It is about focused obedience. It is about marking a spiritual agreement that mirrors your trust in divine timing and power. Salt, in this context, represents purity, preservation, and covenant. It carries symbolic weight across spiritual traditions as a substance used to seal agreements and ward off negativity. By using it in this ritual, you are entering into alignment with ancient spiritual truths that transcend religion and speak to the soul. When mixed with water and your written intentions, it becomes a statement of belief. It tells the divine, I am ready. I accept the timing. I trust the process. This ritual is meant to be done not casually, but with purpose. Take a moment of stillness. Gather your materials, a clean sheet of paper, a pen, a small container of salt and water. Before you write, reflect on what matters most. This is not just a list of desires. It is a declaration of your values, your vision, and your willingness to step into a new level of spiritual maturity. Begin by writing your full name at the top of the page. This represents your identity, not just in the physical sense, but as one known and called in the spiritual realm. Beneath it, list your desires clearly, boldly, and with intention. These are not random wishes. They are expressions of alignment, financial freedom, emotional healing, clarity of purpose. Whatever weighs on your spirit, name it. Acknowledge it. Honor its importance. As you write, understand this is not merely journaling. This is spiritual architecture. Each word, each sentence, is part of the structure you are building with the divine. Your written words form the blueprint for the life you are now ready to receive. It is a process of co-creation, where your faith is no longer silent or passive. It becomes a visible contract between your present and your future. Once you have completed the writing, fold the paper and place it in a bowl or container. Sprinkle salt over the folded note. Add a small amount of water to the salt. Do this with reverence, acknowledging that this mixture symbolizes a spiritual cleansing and activation. The salt neutralizes lingering doubt. The water carries your intentions into the flow of divine movement. Place this container in a quiet place where it will not be disturbed. Let it sit overnight. This is not about watching or waiting. It is about trusting. As you sleep, let this act represent your surrender. Let go of the need to control the outcome. Your work is done in the physical. The rest is now unfolding in the spiritual. The next component of this alignment involves timing. According to ancient spiritual traditions, there is a sacred window known as the 3 a.m. hour, a time when the veil between the physical and spiritual realms is considered thinnest. It is often referred to as the spiritual gate, a moment when divine messages are clearest and spiritual energy is most accessible. You are being encouraged to pray during this hour, once the salt ritual is complete. Not because this hour is magical, but because it represents intentionality. It is quiet. It is undistracted. It is a space where your words can be fully felt, spoken from a place of sincerity. Set an alarm if needed. Prepare in advance. And when the hour comes, pray not just for what you want, but for the strength to carry what is coming. Pray for clarity, for courage, and for continued alignment with the process. Use your own words. Speak from the heart. Be honest. Be expectant. Know that this prayer is part of the sequence, the final spiritual gesture that anchors your actions and makes your intentions active in a divine flow. You may not feel different immediately, but spiritual shifts are often subtle before they become visible. You have now stepped into agreement with a process that is already at work. You've shown obedience. You've honored the timing. You've taken the step that activates what has been promised to you. The process of transformation doesn't end with the ritual. It begins there. What comes next is a series of confirmations, opportunities, connections, and circumstances that begin to change. Stay aware. Stay receptive. Notice when you are presented with what you asked for. It may not always arrive how you imagined, but it will always be aligned with your highest good. Transformation is not just about receiving. It is about becoming. As you begin to see changes externally, pay attention to what is shifting internally. Your thoughts may feel clearer, your emotions more balanced. You may feel more confident, more prepared, more aligned with your purpose. These are signs that you are walking in step with something greater than yourself. At this stage, you must guard against doubt. Not every day will feel inspired. Not every moment will feel holy. That's okay. Faith is not measured by feeling it. It is demonstrated by consistency. Continue to believe in the process. Revisit your intentions often. Read them out loud if needed. Reaffirm your alignment with them. As part of your continued alignment, consider extending this practice into a habit. Set time weekly or monthly to revisit your written intentions. Add to them as you grow. Adjust them as your clarity sharpens. Treat this practice as a spiritual discipline, not a one-time event. The more consistent your alignment, the more sustainable your transformation. This practice is not a shortcut to instant gratification. It is a structured way to align your belief with divine timing. You are showing up with intention, with faith, and with readiness. That posture creates momentum. That momentum brings manifestation. There is also a broader purpose at work here. You are not being aligned for your benefit alone. Your transformation has ripple effects. It influences those around you, family, community, strangers who may be inspired by your courage. You are being equipped to help others, whether directly or indirectly. That's what chosen ones are called to do, not just to receive, but to impact. You may wonder why salt and water are used in this practice. Their significance lies not in superstition, but in symbolism. Salt purifies. water flows. Together, they cleanse and carry. They represent the two actions required for manifestation clearing, the past and moving toward the future. When combined with your written words, they create a physical representation of a spiritual truth, that your life can be both cleansed and carried toward fulfillment. Science supports this in part. The act of writing engages parts of the brain associated with planning and memory. Water is a conductor of energy, and salt alters the structure of water molecules in ways that are still being explored. While science may not confirm everything spiritually, it consistently points to the power of intention, repetition, and focus. These are the foundational tools of transformation. What's most important is that this ritual grounds you. It gives your faith something physical to do. In a world that often feels chaotic, this process centers you. It reminds you that you are not powerless. You are not forgotten. You are not stuck. You are aligned, active, and spiritually awake. Chosen. 1. Understand this. You are not being asked to perform for approval. You are being invited to partner with what is already unfolding. The divine is not reluctant. It is responsive. Your job is to remain aligned, to move when prompted, and to trust what you cannot yet see. You have taken the first step. You have honored the message. You have begun the work of transformation, not through force, but through faith. What comes next is continuation. Now that you've entered alignment through intention, ritual, and early morning prayer. Chosen one. The next phase is maintenance. You've taken the first obedient step, but in every divine process, sustainability is as important as initiation. Many begin strong, but few finish with consistency. The difference between temporary inspiration and lasting transformation lies in daily application. This is not about repeating rituals endlessly. It's about remaining aware of your role in your ongoing spiritual agreement. One key element in this journey is rhythm. Divine order functions in seasons and cycles. You are now in a new cycle, one that demands greater attention to how you manage your time, space, and energy. The instruction you followed has opened a spiritual gate. What comes next will challenge your stewardship. Begin by setting a routine that honors your spiritual discipline. Wake up with intention. Schedule quiet time, not for religious performance, but for alignment. 10 minutes of reflection each morning. A written update to your intentions once a week. Repetition builds rhythm, and rhythm builds resilience. This phase also requires boundaries. Not every conversation, commitment, or opinion needs your attention. Energy is limited. Discernment helps preserve it. You are not avoiding life. You are prioritizing your purpose. And as your alignment strengthens, your clarity will expose anything that does not belong in your current season. Be aware that resistance may increase. The moment you move closer to your divine purpose, distractions and delays often appear. This is not a sign to stop. It is confirmation to continue. The friction you feel is not failure. It's evidence of forward motion. What you've activated through the salt and water ritual was not simply symbolic. It signaled to the unseen realm that you are no longer passive. It announced that your life is shifting from default to design. That shift has consequences, positive and challenging. You may notice relationships adjusting, communication patterns changing, old habits losing appeal. These aren't random. They're part of the spiritual pruning that occurs when alignment sharpens. Let them unfold naturally. Don't force restoration where distance has become necessary. Some things are falling away so that better alignment can take root. In your prayer time, especially during early morning hours, be specific. Instead of asking vaguely for change, ask for understanding, strength, and follow through. Transformation thrives where clarity lives. If you don't yet know your next step, ask for it. But once it's revealed, move. Delay often cancels momentum. Might be wondering, what's next after this phase? Here's a roadmap to help navigate the post-alignment journey. Over the coming days, you may start to notice small but significant signs. These include sudden peace in situations that previously triggered anxiety, clarity of mind, especially in areas where confusion lingered, unusual favor, such as unexpected support, offers, or reconnections, repeated patterns in dreams, or thoughts reinforcing what was written. Do not dismiss these signals. Document them. Review them. They will guide your next phase and serve as checkpoints in your journey. You may also hear internal voices of skepticism. These are familiar mental habits, not truth. When doubt arises, refer back to your original intention, the words you wrote, the vision you had, and the ritual you performed. These are your anchor points. Affirm what you know. Speak it out loud. Words carry power, especially when they align with belief. Let your daily declarations reinforce what you already initiated. Spiritually, just as a planted seed requires healthy soil, so too does a transformed life require supportive conditions. Look around. Does your home reflect peace? Does your schedule allow rest and reflection? Is your digital environment what you watch, read, and listen to conducive to growth? This isn't about perfection. It's about intentionality. A misaligned environment can interrupt aligned efforts. Small changes, decluttering a space, limiting toxic input, organizing your thoughts can protect the energy you've cultivated. Not everything you experience in this journey is meant to be shared immediately. Some revelations are sacred. They require processing before proclamation. Keep certain things between you and the divine. Let your results speak louder than your process. Wisdom is knowing what to share, when to share, and with whom. Many breakthroughs are delayed because people speak prematurely. Silence protects progress. Let your alignment mature before it's displayed. As you continue moving forward, expect to receive confirmation through people around you. It may come in subtle forms: a conversation, a phrase, a message that matches what you felt internally. These are not accidental. They are coordinated. You don't need to seek validation. But when it comes, acknowledge it as divine reassurance. Your obedience is working. The process is unfolding. Your original intentions, what you wrote and prayed over, were based on who you were at that time. As you grow, so will your insight. Be open to updating your intentions. The divine does not punish evolution. Clarity often increases with motion. Keep your goals flexible enough to accommodate insight, yet firm enough to stay focused. Adjust, refine, and move again. The results of spiritual alignment vary. Some outcomes appear within days. Others unfold over weeks or even months. Do not equate timing with effectiveness. Trust this. The moment you activated your alignment, the process began. What happens now is unfolding in layers: spiritual, emotional, practical. Some results you will see, others you will only feel. Either way, transformation is underway. Don't interrupt it by returning to old patterns. Just because the timeline stretches longer than expected, the most powerful shift happens not in what you receive, but in who you become. You are no longer operating from uncertainty. You are now walking in clarity. Let your decisions reflect that. From this point forward, carry yourself with confidence, not arrogance, but spiritual assurance. Speak with integrity. Move with discernment. Think with clarity. Your identity as a chosen one must now be lived, not simply believed. The salt and water ritual is not meant for daily repetition. It is a marker, not a crutch. But there may be moments when you feel drawn to do it again, perhaps after a major decision, during a life transition, or when needing to reset alignment. When that time comes, trust your spirit. Repeat the process in full. Each cycle brings deeper revelation. Each repetition strengthens your clarity. But until then, rest in what has already been done. The divine does not require constant performance. It values faithful follow-through. You may not realize it now, but your obedience has already begun impacting those around you. Spiritual alignment radiates. Others may not be able to name it, but they will feel it. Your peace will shift atmospheres. Your clarity will quiet confusion. Your presence will inspire direction. You are now operating as a stabilizer in your environment, not by trying to fix everyone, but by being aligned within yourself. And for some, your quiet discipline will become the blueprint they reference when they feel lost. Your journaled intention, your silent prayer at 3 a.m., your decision to respond without needing attention, all of it, contributes to a legacy that will extend beyond this season. Let these statements guide you daily as you continue. I do not wait for signs. I walk in what I know. Faith moves before evidence arrives. I am not controlled by emotion. I am led by truth. Clarity is stronger than feeling. I do not repeat cycles. I establish new standards. Alignment requires new patterns. I do not shrink. I take up the space I was assigned. Chosen ones don't apologize for their presence. I do not strive. I align, and through that, I thrive. There is ease in obedience. Chosen one, the process is active. The energy has shifted. The divine has responded. You were not instructed to act for emotional comfort. You were positioned to execute a spiritual principle. You followed through. Now your role is to remain aligned as outcomes unfold. Everything may not change at once, but everything has already changed within. That is the beginning of all true transformation. What happens next is not accidental. Pay attention, remain grounded, and most importantly, stay available. New instructions may arrive soon. Be ready. Until then, continue with peace, continue with trust, continue with structure. Your life is not waiting to begin. It is now fully engaged in purpose. You have taken the steps. You've followed the instruction. You've moved beyond waiting and entered into implementation. Chosen one, this final segment is not about doing more. It's about reinforcing what you've done, anchoring your transformation and preparing you for sustainability. Spiritual alignment is not a momentary feeling, it is a way of life. The SALT ritual, the 3 a.m. prayer, and your written intentions were not designed to be emotional milestones. They were structural markers. What happens now depends on how you carry those foundations into every decision, conversation, and day forward. In this final part, we focus on integration. That is, the process of aligning your internal clarity with your external reality. Your inner change must now guide how you operate in the visible world. And that starts with responsibility. Once you know, you are accountable. Not to others, but to the assignment. You cannot unknow what has been revealed. You cannot return the patterns that were broken by insight. From here forward, every action you take either aligns with your purpose or drifts away from it. This is where spiritual maturity begins, not in how much you know, but in how much you apply. Begin viewing each day as a platform for obedience. Not grand gestures, not dramatic change. Just obedience. One step at a time, choosing silence when provoked, walking away when your spirit resists, saying yes to rest when pressure rises, scheduling intentional moments to revisit your intentions. These small decisions become patterns. Those patterns form identity, and that identity is what sustains the chosen one over time. As you integrate this process, you must also acknowledge that legacy is not one action. It is layered. It is built through consistent choices that become your life signature. What you began with the SALT ritual was not isolated. It was generational. When you agreed to follow divine instruction, you interrupted old patterns and established a new standard. Even if no one else acknowledges it, Know this. What you've done spiritually will impact timelines you cannot yet see. A younger sibling may observe your discipline and mirror it. A child may experience peace in a home you restructured through alignment. A stranger may encounter calm energy from your transformed presence and be shifted. You will never fully know how far your obedience reaches. That's not your responsibility. Your role is to stay aligned. As you build your post-alignment lifestyle, focus on simplicity. Complexity creates burnout. Simplicity creates sustainability. Ask yourself daily, what one habit reinforces my alignment today? What one decision brings me closer to my intended outcome? What can I release today that no longer serves this version of me? Often, people overwhelm themselves with new routines and then abandon them. But the spiritually disciplined know that one consistent act is more powerful than 10 temporary ones. Start small. Keep a notepad by your bed to write post-prayer thoughts. Choose a single affirmation that reflects your intention and repeat it each morning. Set a weekly check-in to update or refine your spiritual goals. Small disciplines, repeated with sincerity, will reshape your internal structure. There will be days when your feelings do not match your faith. This is normal. Do not build your momentum on emotional energy. Anchor it in conviction. Let the reason you began carry you through the moments when motivation disappears. When you feel distracted, go back to your written intention. When you feel discouraged, revisit your 3 a.m. prayer. When you feel doubt, remind yourself of how far you've already shifted. The chosen one walks by principle, not by preference. That is not a burden. It's a stabilizer. It allows you to move even when your feelings waver. At this point in your journey, you must also realize your voice matters. Not because of volume, but because of clarity. The spiritually aligned person speaks differently. They listen longer. They choose words carefully. They do not use speech to impress. They use it to direct. As you integrate what you've activated, begin filtering your speech through this framework. Is what I'm about to say rooted in clarity? Does this statement serve purpose or ego? Am I reinforcing alignment or releasing confusion? Every conversation is a transaction of energy. Guard yours. Let your voice reflect your transformation. And when necessary, be silent. Not out of fear, but out of discipline. You are no longer someone who follows instructions just to feel better. You are someone who embodies what you've aligned with. Embodiment means living what you've activated. It means carrying peace into tension, holding patience in process, protecting what you've written with action. You have already stepped into divine order. Now, become the vessel that maintains it. Do not let circumstances determine your alignment. Let alignment influence your response to circumstances. When the external feels uncertain, return to the internal anchor you created through your ritual, your prayer, and your purpose. Your definition of success must also evolve. It is no longer about outcomes alone. It is about obedience, character, and alignment. Success now looks like waking up early to pray when no one else sees it, saying no to an opportunity that looks good but feels wrong, walking away from validation and standing in quiet conviction, creating structure that supports your mental and spiritual health. This is the version of you that was always waiting beneath distraction, doubt, and delay. Now it has emerged. Nurture it. As others around you move in different directions, you may feel tempted to question your pace. But alignment has no competition. The fear of missing out is a distraction. You are not behind. You are on a tailored path, guided by a divine process that doesn't conform to external timelines. Do not compare speed. Compare alignment. Are you doing what you should? If yes, keep going. The chosen one is not assigned for applause. They are positioned for impact. That impact begins with peace. Let these final instructions serve as your compass. Return often to the place of stillness. That's where instruction is heard most clearly. Review your intentions weekly. They are your mirror. They show you where your focus lives. Establish rhythm, not performance. Consistent effort creates sacred flow. Avoid spiritual fatigue. Rest is not a reward. It is part of the process. Remain teachable. New instructions will come. Humility keeps you ready. These are not rules. They are stabilizers. They will keep you steady when life becomes unstable. From this point forward, your life becomes a reference point. People will feel something different in your presence. Not because of what you say, but because of how you carry yourself. You are no longer scattered. You are centered. You are not living from reaction. You are living from revelation. You have become a steward, not of perfection, but of progress. Steward your thoughts by filtering what you consume. Time by investing in what moves you forward. Energy by engaging only where peace exists. Voice by speaking with intentionality. This stewardship is your assignment now. It is not glamorous, but it is impactful. And through it, you will see sustained transformation. Finally, chosen one, let this truth settle deeply. This alignment is not just for you. It is the beginning of something generational. You will parent differently. You will lead differently. You will build differently. And everything you create from this posture of alignment will carry the fragrance of clarity. This is the start of your legacy. Not the house you build, or the income you earn, but the peace you protect, the people you influence, and the process you repeat. This was never about a single ritual. It was about a shift in identity. You've shifted. Now carry it forward.